What fictional character could someone say, oh yeah, they're my role model about that would make you slowly back away? Christian Grey. Thankfully didn't run into a lot of people taking him as a role model, but the number of otherwise reasonable women who wanted to find their Christian Grey was disconcerting back when the books were popular. I'm in the kink community, and when that damn shit excuse for a book came out, some of our venues filled with single dudes wearing dark suits with gray ties. There was resurgence with each movie, too. Like, no one in BDSM actually acts or thinks like Christian Grey, and if they did they'd be booted for being a creepy sexual predator. It was annoying. Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. When I was a lad I ate 4 dozen eggs. Don't eat that many eggs. Gaston has the worst advice. Patrick Bateman. When I was using dating sites there was an alarming amount of men who listed him as their hero. Very few could explain why they wanted to be someone who was either a sadistic serial killer and rapist or someone who was under so much pressure from the world he lived in that he fantasized about being one. The best case scenario was that they'd never seen the film or read the book and just really wanted to look like Christian Bale and own a transparent raincoat. The transparent raincoat kills me. No, it's the axe that kills you. Trevor from GTA V. I just started playing the game and honestly I find his story segments kinda depressing. Just wait till you get to the side missions with his mom. Alex from A Clockwork Orange. I had a boyfriend in high school who idolized him. I hadn't seen the movie by that point and thought he was super edgy and cool. He was so obsessed with Akko that he bought a ton of copies of the book and handed them out like leaflets at school. He spoke in Nadsat. He ended up becoming a skinhead and got arrested a bunch of times. This was all after I broke up with him. I wish I had seen the movie sooner so I knew what I was dealing with. I'm now a massive Kubrick fan, but Akko will always and forever be kind of ruined for me because of that. Whoa, did he even read the book? He sound like someone who never read the last bit where Alex contemplates all the destructive things he's done in the past and finally starts growing the fuck up. I'm not sure if he read it. I'm guessing he did as he was so obsessed with it. I was never interested in it while we were dating, as I didn't really know what it was or what it entailed. We only dated for a few months. It wasn't until years later when I saw the movie and read the book that I looked back on that and thought, wow, so many red flags. I really dodged a bullet there. Glenn Quagmire. Literally any recurring Family Guy character. Even my boy Cleveland? Zeus from Greek mythology. Don't stick your duck in that. Too late. Greek mythology summed up in 5 words. Unfortunately, Zeus was feeling horny. I think the opening song by the Muses in Disney's Hercules sums up Greek mythology pretty well. And then along came Zeus. Eric Cartman from South Park. Something about mashing up a kid's parents and then feeding them to the kid doesn't sit well with me. It was funny as hell that doing that pretty much bit him on the ass, when you find out in episodes 200-201, that he's Scott Tenorman's half-brother and both share the same father, so he effectively lost his chance at ever knowing his father because of him being a psycho. Yeah, but it's not like he really felt the consequences of that. He was more upset about the fact that he was half ginger than that he killed his own father. I know someone who aspires to be like Sheldon Cooper. My brother has autism and I can't tell you how many times people have told me it must be so cool to live with a guy like Sheldon Cooper. So, you think all autistic people tell condescending science jokes and make fun of the stupid woman next door, and that's what makes up living life as an autistic person? My brother gets really nervous about making phone calls and has the entire NHL rulebook memorized to the letter, otherwise he's just my duckhead brother. Edit. It is a point of personal pride that I don't know duck about hockey and will never learn anything about it, so unfortunately I can't tell any of you what my brother thinks of controversial riffing. Sorry. Tate from American Horror Story. If you actually watched the show, how are you gonna share Tate gifs on Tumblr? Do you even remember what happened? Yeah, I've seen stuff like phone cases with the Tate to my Violet and I'm just sat there wondering if they've actually watched the show. I guess a lot of it is kids who like the edgy aesthetic without fully understanding the implications. Archer. Agreed. Archer is hilarious, but by no means a role model. If you're looking for a John Benjamin character to look up to, Bob Belcher is a pretty safe bet. Bob Belcher is the best cartoon dad. Walter White. Willy Wonka? Woodrow Wilson? Walt Whitman. Walter White? Tyler Durden. My goodness, is that ever a misunderstood character, and one genuinely taken as a role model by too many dudes. I think Rick from Rick and Morty is the same. A lot of people don't seem to see how much self-hatred Dan Harmon pours into that character. The Joker. Same with people who say Harley Quinn and the Joker are relationship goals. Straight up any character in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They aren't my role models, but they're an amazing representation of some of my baser instincts as someone who grew up as low-income poor in America. Michael Scott. I love The Office, but to have someone live like Michael Scott is not very healthy, most of the time. Or Jim and Pam. I trust people on Tinder who say they're looking for their Ben Leslie 1000X more than people who say they're looking for their Jim Pam. Yes, Ben and Leslie were an amazing couple. I used to love Jim and Pam, but as I've rewatched the series, I've changed my opinion. BoJack Horseman. Or any characters from that show TBH. Like many people, I love the show and I find BoJack and the other characters relatable to a certain extent, but just because we identify with them, it shouldn't make us look up to them. This show gives us the ability to look at realistic human problems with eyes unclouded by biases, because obviously these are fictional characters. If you relate to anyone on that show, then there's probably something wrong in your life right now, and I'm not condemning you. I'm saying it's time to reflect and do something about it. I personally relate to Vincent Adultman, despite being over 30 in a responsible professional career, because I frequently feel like I'm a kid in an older body suddenly waking up to my adult life and feeling completely in over my head. Dexter. Dude built a laboratory at age what? 8? That's pretty impressive. DD is the real pain here. DD, get out of my LAH4UHTORY. Not exactly the same, but I know a guy who said watch the Ted Bundy tapes. It's what I think about during sex and that had the same effect. That's not slowly back away. That's run Forrest run. Ramsey Bolton. I had this girl in my school who was totally EDGI and she had her name plus Bolton in her Instagram bio. I first thought it was a High School Musical thing, but it really wasn't. It's so disgusting. I found that you thought it was a HSM thing, so pure. Humbert from Lolita. He's an unreliable narrator who perceives his depravity as justified because he misconstrues Dolores' childish intrigue as coquetry and propositions. He's an irredeemable pedophile with no compunction, deceiving a vulnerable woman so he can have access to her daughter. However, Nabokov's prodigious vocabulary and sumptuous prose renders his character almost palatable. He's distinguished, eloquent, and intelligent if diluted, and while the readers are trying to reconcile the abhorrence beneath the linguistic manipulation, I can understand why someone might feel admiration towards individual attributes he exhibits. Nabokov insinuates him into an untenable position and seduces the reader in a manner that's analogous to Humbert and Lolita. This is one of the best short-form explanations of Lolita I've ever read. Deadpool. Dude has problems and uses humor to mask them, but I wouldn't even trust him to water my plants. Once I saw Detective Pikachu, I realized I didn't like Deadpool. I liked Ryan Reynolds. The character never did much for me in comics or games, but Reynolds brought it to life with his signature energy. I'm curious if they make a sequel to Pikachu, because the ending hook implied Reynolds would be playing two roles, one very much playing to type, one as the straight man. Amy from Gone Girl. My sister actually tells people she's her hero, and she's only half joking. My ex jokingly told me the same thing. Turns out it was like 3/4 joking. Who the fuck wants to be like her? Damn, she was fucked up. Once again, this whole thread is fucked. There's a difference between identifying with a character and actually viewing them as a role model. Women who like Amy like her because she fell in love and got married and had a nice life, and then her husband dumped her for a younger woman. Amy made her entire amazing life around that passive bum and then he just fucking ruins it. And so many women have been hurt in this way. It's revenge porn from bad relationships. Because really, why is it so socially acceptable for a man to do that? There is nothing you can do to get your life back. But Amy found a way. Ben Affleck asked for it. Holden Caulfield. That book depressed the hell out of me. To be fair, real life coming of age depressed the hell out of me too. Michael Corleone. Why is it I always imagine Steve Carell from The Office is actually this guy? Michael Scott. I can make you an offer you'll always refuse. Cersei Lannister's a common one. She murders children. Stop using her in your Tinder bios. I'll have you know that Cersei is a strong and independent mother who puts her children before everything else, and frankly if that doesn't justify killing a few people on a regular basis, I don't know what does. OMG. Face with heart-shaped eyes. Yas we stan. Bob the Builder. How dare you? Yes he can. Taylor Swift. And yes, she is a fictional character. It is all promotional. She's actually a hologram. Yes. Thank you. What we see is not the real her. Every move is calculated. Therefore she is definitely a fictional character. My friends don't understand why I dislike her, their obsession with her, and it makes me want to create a detailed PowerPoint for them. Percy Jackson and Harry Potter. People be pushing 30 and their personalities still center around this shit. Lenny from Of Mice and Men. Is this a thing? What fictional role model have you heard from someone that you disapprove of? Tell us in the comments below. And hey, like and subscribe for more crazy stories.